Now, a new analysis shows that the 6-ton iconic altar stone at the heart of Stonehenge originated from northeastern Scotland rather than southwest Wales.
An AI system just shattered the peaceful Druid theory into a million pieces. It analyzed the chemical heartbeat of the altar stone and found a match that shouldn't exist.
It's one of the largest stones here, at around 6 tons. The big question is how on earth it was transported from northeast Scotland.
A location so remote and dangerous to reach that it implies a human cost that makes the pyramids look like a weekend project. But the scary part? The AI simulated the soundscapes inside the circle. It found that Stonehenge creates a biophysical phantom, a vibration that induces pure panic in the human brain. They didn't build a church, they built a cage for your mind. And the machine is about to turn back on. The impossible signature from the north. For over a century, the textbooks were confident, and honestly, we were too. We told ourselves the blue stones came from the Preseli Hills in Wales, about 140 miles away. That was impressive enough. It painted a picture of a dedicated Neolithic society, dragging stones across land and river, a feat of endurance that we could admire from the comfort of the modern age. But here is the catch: the altar stone, that massive 6-ton slab sitting right in the center of the monument, never quite fit the profile. It didn't look like the others. It didn't feel like the others. It was the anomaly that everyone chose to ignore, because the alternative was too difficult to explain. Enter the artificial intelligence. In a groundbreaking study led by Anthony Clark at Curtin University, researchers didn't just look at the stone, they looked inside it. They used mass spectrometry and AI-assisted analysis to study tiny mineral grains called zircons. These crystals are like time capsules, microscopic vaults that hold the chemical fingerprint of the moment they were formed, billions of years ago. The process is incredibly complex. Zircons are incredibly durable. They survive erosion, metamorphosis, and the crushing weight of time. By analyzing the decay of uranium into lead within these crystals, the AI could determine the age of the stone with a precision that was previously impossible. The AI compared the altar stone's zircons against a massive database of geological formations across the entire United Kingdom. It crunched data that would take a human geologist a lifetime to sort through. It cross-referenced sedimentary signatures, provenance archives, and decades of published fieldwork in a matter of hours. And the result? It wasn't Wales. It wasn't even close. The chemical signature was a perfect match for the old red sandstone of the Orcadian Basin. That is, in northeast Scotland. Let that sink in. We are talking about a distance of nearly 500 miles, over 750 kilometers. And that is putting it lightly. If you look at the map, the Orcadian Basin includes the Orkney Islands, a place separated from the mainland by treacherous waters and battered by the fierce winds of the North Sea. This isn't just a new discovery. It is a complete paradigm shift. It means the people who built Stonehenge weren't just locals moving rocks. They were long-distance voyagers. But why? Why go to the absolute edge of their known world to bring back a specific slab of sandstone? The AI analysis confirmed the rock isn't structurally superior. It is not harder or prettier than the stones in Wales. It is a dull gray-green sandstone. This means the value wasn't physical, it was symbolic. Or perhaps it was something else entirely. The sheer impossibility of the distance forces us to look at the transport methods. And the AI didn't just find a match. It found a logistical nightmare that suggests the impossible. There is a wild theory circulating now that the altar stone wasn't just a rock, but a specific piece of a much older monument. Think about it. Why drag a random rock 500 miles? You wouldn't. Unless that rock was already legendary. Unless that rock was the throne of a conquered king or the capstone of a rival temple. The AI data supports the idea that the stone was exposed to the elements for centuries before it was buried at Stonehenge, suggesting it stood somewhere else first. The builders of Stonehenge didn't just go to Scotland to quarry, they went there to steal. They were taking the power center of another civilization and dragging it south to incorporate it into their own machine. It is the ultimate capture the flag, but the flag weighs 6 tons. Moving 6 tons over that distance wasn't just difficult. The math suggests it was a one-way mission. So, how do you move a 6-ton block of stone 500 miles without a wheel, without a crane, and without modern roads? The AI and the research teams ran the scenarios, modeling friction, caloric burn, and terrain topography, and the results are grim. First, consider the land route. To drag a stone from the tip of Scotland to the plains of Salisbury would require crossing the Grampian Mountains, the Pennines, and endless dense forests and bogs. It would be a journey of obstacles that would break even modern machinery. The friction would be immense. The rollers would shatter. The sheer amount of food required to feed the hundreds of people needed to pull the sledge would deplete entire villages. The models suggest it is almost physically impossible. The stone would have been abandoned, or the people would have perished in the attempt. That leaves the sea. This implies that Neolithic people built vessels capable of holding a 6-ton dead weight and navigated the wild, unpredictable waters of the British coast. We aren't talking about a calm river cruise. We are talking about the North Sea and the Atlantic currents, some of the most treacherous waters in the world. The researchers, including Professor Chris Kirkland, argue that a marine route is the only feasible option. But think about the cost. Navigating those waters in wooden rafts or skin boats with a stone that heavy is a recipe for disaster. The boat needs to be perfectly balanced. If the weather turned, and in Scotland, the weather always turns, the boat wouldn't just capsize, it would be pulled down instantly. The stone is an anchor, the crew wouldn't stand a chance. The terrifying implication here is the attrition rate. How many stones didn't make it? How many crews are currently sitting at the bottom of the ocean, their bones resting next to lost megaliths? The fact that they succeeded with the altar stone means this wasn't a one-off lucky trip. It suggests a complex, sophisticated network of trade and transport. But it also suggests a society that didn't care about the cost of human life. This leads us to one of the darker theories emerging from the AI analysis of maritime routes. Some researchers speculate that the transport of these stones was a ritual in itself, one that demanded sacrifice. It wasn't just about the destination, it was about the journey. The immense danger was the point. By surviving the impossible voyage, the stone became charged with a specific kind of energy, the energy of survival, or perhaps the energy of the lives lost along the way. There is also the lost technology angle. We often assume ancient people were primitive, but what if they understood buoyancy and water displacement in ways we have forgotten? Some experimental archaeologists have suggested they might have used tidal power, floating the stones on massive rafts that rose with the high tides of the Scottish lochs, riding the currents down the coast like a conveyor belt. It sounds crazy, but when you look at the precision of the stone placements, you have to admit these people were engineers of the highest order. They knew the water, they knew the stars, and they knew how to navigate the void of the ocean at night. But regardless of how they did it, the altar stone represents a connection between the far north and the south that defies logic. It suggests a unified culture, or perhaps a unified fear, that stretched across the entire island. It was a highway of stones, paved with the ambition of a civilization that refused to be bound by geography. Silence, echoes, and the infrasound weapon. The stones weren't arranged for sight, but for a sound that triggers a primal panic. This is where the AI analysis shifts from geology to something much more disturbing: psycho-acoustics. Acoustical engineer Trevor Cox and his team at the University of Salford took the investigation to a new level. They built a precise 1:12 scale model of Stonehenge to test how sound behaves inside the circle. They didn't just guess. They used laser scans to replicate every bump, curve, and texture of the original stones. They placed this model inside a specialized acoustic chamber to eliminate all modern noise. When the AI processed the acoustic data from this model, it revealed that Stonehenge is a giant echo chamber, but a very specific kind. Inside the circle, speech is amplified. It becomes clearer, louder, and more authoritative. The reverberation time is just over half a second, which is perfect for speech and hypnotic chanting. But outside, the sound dies instantly. The stones act as a barrier. It is a design that creates a clear separation. The insiders, who have the knowledge and power, and the outsiders who are cut off from the ritual. But here is the crazy part. The blue stones, the ones brought from Wales, are known as ringing stones. In their local legend, they are called Mayan seti. When struck, they ring like bells with metallic tones. But the real secret isn't what you can hear, it is the infrasound. The arrangement of the megaliths creates a resonant cavity capable of amplifying low-frequency sounds, frequencies below 20 Hz. You can't hear infrasound with your ears, but your body feels it. It hits you in the stomach. It causes nausea, dizziness, and intense anxiety. In modern studies, infrasound has been linked to feelings of sorrow, coldness, and dread. It can even induce hallucinations, making you feel like you are being watched by a ghost or a god. The AI data suggests the monument was engineered to produce this effect. Imagine a ritual 4,500 years ago. The rhythmic drumming, the chanting, the ringing of the stones. The geometry of the circle traps and amplifies the bass frequencies, shaking the chests of everyone inside. They would feel a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread and awe. They would think it was the presence of the divine descending upon them. But it wasn't God. It was engineering. The builders were masters of human psychology. They essentially built a machine to control the emotional state of a crowd. If you control the fear, you control the people. And that is putting it lightly. This transforms Stonehenge from a passive monument into an active tool of social dominance. It was a theater of the mind, designed to break the will of the observer through invisible waves of sound. And this brings us to a truly fringe theory that is gaining traction: acoustic levitation. We know today that sound waves can levitate small objects. Scientists do it in labs all the time. But legends from all over the world, from Tibet to Egypt, speak of priests using sound to lift heavy stones. Could the acoustic perfection of Stonehenge be a clue to how it was built? What if the ringing stones weren't just instruments, but tools? What if the builders understood resonance frequencies in a way that allowed them to manipulate matter? It sounds like science fiction, but when you are looking at a 6-ton rock moved 500 miles, you have to keep an open mind. Maybe the machine wasn't just built to scare people. Maybe it was built to move the world. There is also the stone tape theory. This is the idea that minerals like quartz and silica, which are abundant in these stones, can actually record energy and sound events, like a cassette tape. When the conditions are right, during high emotional stress or specific weather patterns, the stones replay these events. This would explain why so many visitors report hearing phantom battle cries, whispers, or feeling sudden, inexplicable sadness when they touch the monoliths. The AI simulations of the stone's crystalline structure show they are highly conductive. We might be looking at the world's oldest hard drive, filled with the trauma of the past. The machine has a timer, and in 2025, the gears are finally clicking into place. The AI didn't just look at the ground, it looked at the sky. We all know about the summer solstice. It is the famous alignment that draws thousands of tourists every year. But the AI detected another alignment, one that is far more rare and much more difficult to track. It is called the Major Lunar Standstill. This event only happens once every 18.6 years. It is when the moon rises and sets at its most extreme points on the horizon, places the sun never reaches. It looks like the moon is moving beyond the boundaries of the world, stretching into the darkness. And guess what? The station stones, the 4 stones that form a rectangle around the main circle, align perfectly with this event. The terrifying part? We are in a major lunar standstill right now. From late 2024 through mid-2025, the moon is hitting these extreme markers. The AI analysis of the Aubrey holes, the 56 pits surrounding the monument, shows a statistical correlation with these lunar movements. Many of these holes contain cremated human remains. The concentration of death aligns with the southern extremity of the moonrise. Even more disturbing, many cremations are concentrated in the southeastern part of Stonehenge, near 3 pits that likely once held timber posts. These align perfectly with the southerly moonrise of the standstill. This suggests that while the sun represented life and harvest, the moon represented something else: death, ancestry, the underworld, the altar stone, that massive block from Scotland, sits right in the crosshairs of this alignment. If the monument is a machine designed to amplify sound and emotion, the lunar standstill is the trigger event. It is the moment the system is fully active. Think about it. You have the infrasound generating fear. You have the ringing stones creating a hypnotic atmosphere. And then, you have the moon rising from a position that defies the natural order of the sun, casting shadows that only appear once in a generation. It was a theater of the terrifying. The AI's hypothesis suddenly becomes less theoretical. If Stonehenge was designed to track a recurring cosmic cycle, and if it generates powerful infrasound when acoustically activated, then the 2024 to 2025 lunar standstill might represent the first time in living memory that all the monument's functions could theoretically activate simultaneously. And here is where the wild theories really start to make sense. Some astronomers believe the Major Lunar Standstill affects the Earth's magnetic field. We know that the blue stones are magnetic. If the moon's position alters the geomagnetic current and the stones are positioned to catch that current, are we talking about a massive surge of energy? Some people believe Stonehenge acts like a needle in the acupuncture point of the Earth. During the standstill, the energy flow is reversed or amplified. This could explain the fouling effect reported by pilots and drone operators near the site, where electronics go haywire for no reason. The AI didn't explicitly confirm a power plant theory, but it did confirm that the placement of the stones creates a magnetic anomaly. With the moon in its extreme position, we are entering a window of time where that anomaly is at its peak. Are we just watching a calendar, or are we watching a battery charging up? The final purpose: submission. So, why do all this? Why drag a stone 500 miles? Why engineer a sound system that makes people sick with fear? Why align it with the death cycle of the moon? The AI integration of all these data points leads to one conclusion: unification through awe. Professor Mike Parker Pearson, a leading archaeologist from UCL, has long suggested that Stonehenge was a place of unification, but the AI data paints a less kumbaya picture. This wasn't a friendly gathering. This was a show of force. The stones from Wales, the stone from Scotland, the saracens from Marlborough, they were bringing pieces of the land together to create a center of the universe. By controlling the stones of the ancestors, from the Orcadian Basin and Wales, the builders were claiming ownership over the island's history. It was a political act. We hold the bones of your ancestors, therefore, we hold you. The mystery of Stonehenge isn't how anymore. We know how. They used boats, forced labor, and advanced engineering. The mystery is who. Who were these elites who could command such terror and reverence? The AI simulations of social structures suggest a society that was far more rigid and controlled than we ever imagined. The AI has stripped away the romance. Stonehenge is a testament to the absolute power of the human will, and the terrifying lengths we will go to control one another. It was a device to consolidate power, to terrify the population into submission, and to link the ruling class directly to the cosmos. Basically, it was the ultimate flex. The elites were saying, we can bend the earth, we can cross the ocean, and we can predict the movements of the gods. And for the average person living in a mud hut, walking into that circle during a lunar standstill, surrounded by the deafening thrum of infrasound and the ringing of the stones, it would have felt like the end of the world. They would have submitted to anything. But let's push this one step further. What if the submission wasn't just to a king? What if it were to the event itself? Some researchers argue that the fear frequency wasn't about control, but about preparation. Perhaps the ancients believed that to communicate with the other side, the ancestors, the moon gods, the void, you had to be in an altered state of consciousness. The fear was the key. The panic opened the door. The stone circle was a machine designed to rip the human mind out of reality and place it somewhere else. The AI can model the acoustics, but it can't model the experience. It can tell us the frequency, but it can't tell us what they saw when the sound took over. Now, let's get down to earth for a second. We have talked about AI, geology, magnets, and sound waves. We have covered 5,000 years of history in a few minutes. Now, you might be wondering, if this is all true, why haven't we felt it? We visit Stonehenge today, and sure, it is impressive. But people don't usually fall to their knees in terror. Why? Here is the thing. We are looking at a computer without the software. The stones are the hardware. They are the speakers, the hard drive, and the monitor. But the software? The software was the people. It was the chanting. It was the specific rhythm of the drums that triggered the infrasound. It was the exact placement of the timber posts that are now rotted away. It was the skin covers they might have stretched over the stones to create a roof, turning the whole thing into a sealed drum. We are walking through the ruins of a machine that is turned off. But with the lunar standstill happening right now, in 2025, we are getting a glimpse of the power cord being plugged back in. The alignment is real. The magnetic fields are shifting. The AI has proven that the design is intentional. And it makes you wonder about the wild stuff. The idea that we are drawn to these places because our DNA remembers the fear. That feeling you get when you see the stones? That isn't just tourism. That is a survival instinct kicking in from 4,000 years ago. The AI has solved the where and the how. It has been proven that the stones came from Scotland, which is mind-blowing. It has proven to be an acoustic trap. But it hasn't solved the human element. It hasn't explained why we are still so obsessed with it. Maybe we are missing a key detail. Maybe the machine doesn't work because we forgot the password. Or maybe, just maybe, it is working. Think about it. We are still talking about it. We are still filming it. We are still building digital shrines to it with our AI and our servers. In a way, Stonehenge is still doing exactly what it was designed to do, capturing our attention, forcing us to look at the sky and making us question our place in the universe. So, Stonehenge isn't a puzzle anymore. It is a warning. It is a reminder that even 5,000 years ago, humanity had mastered the art of manipulation. The machine is still there, sitting on the plain, and with the lunar standstill happening right now, maybe it is waking up. What do you think? Is it a temple, a weapon, or something we haven't even invented a word for yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more ancient mysteries. Thanks for watching.